This action thriller is based on Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians, but can Arnold Schwarzenegger really do ensemble? You're watching Beyond the Trailer's review of Sabotage.
Why do you think the cartel's killing your guys?
It's the money.
They're watching us.
The only way to stop the cartel is to find out who stole the money.
It could be someone on my team. One of my own people.
Some of us are getting paid, the rest of us are just getting dead.
Cartel's got your wife and kid. I'm sorry.
Tell John to come for you.
I'm gonna destroy them.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger doesn't really blend, but as it becomes clear he can bench less and less at the box office, The Last Stand pulled in just 12 million domestic and a mere 48 million worldwide, he could no longer afford to go it alone. And interestingly, he's teaming up with someone else who's also struggling to work outside his own comfort zone, writer-director David Ayer. Sure, he's still working in the law enforcement genre, but Ayer usually focuses on a few distinct personalities in the eye of a storm. Harsh Times, Street Kings, and most recently, End of Watch. That last one was Ayer's biggest domestic haul to date and re-energized his career more than a decade after writing Training Day first put him on Hollywood's map. Newbie distributor Open Road had taken a chance with him on End of Watch, so he's working with them again here on Sabotage. Yet while Open Road has had faith in Ayer in the past, they don't seem to have much faith in what he or Schwarzenegger are trying to accomplish here. The trailer and poster promote Sabotage as a Schwarzenegger pick, despite his recent box office bombs indicating that no one is interested in a Schwarzenegger pick these days. They're also casting aside a stellar cast, including Sam Worthington, Terrence Howard, Joe Manganiello, and Muriel Enos. So Ayer and Schwarzenegger's gritty ensemble high-concept thriller looks like just another Ayer and Schwarzenegger pick. But at the end of the day, is Sabotage really anything more than a stepping stone to either of these men? Schwarzenegger is already set to star in a Terminator reboot, while Ayer has his first shot at the big leagues, writing and directing a World War II flick for Sony. Fury is another ensemble film, but this time headed up by a current movie star, Brad Pitt, who stars as Sergeant War Daddy, who commands a badass tank. You can also bet co-stars Shia LaBeouf, Logan Lerman, Walking Dead's Jon Bernthal, and End of Watch's Michael Pena won't let themselves be cast aside by the studio. So if Sabotage is just a stepping stone, why should we bother to watch it?
Wow, what a mess. I'm not even sure where to begin. At one point in this film, they show a body, they show a lot of gore in this film, which I was not expecting, but they show like a body almost turned inside out. And it's just a mess. And I would say this film, this is the film equivalent of that visual. And I was really surprised. I was expecting a much better constructed film, especially with the career trajectory that David Ayer is enjoying right now. And that was something that really actually occurred to me while I was watching the movie. I said, you know, seeing this, I don't think that David Ayer is ready to move up to the big leagues. And I think Sony might have made a mistake in allowing him to do so. I'm very curious now to see what he's going to turn in for Fury with Brad Pitt. And he better hope no Sony executives see this, because if I were them, I'd be very concerned about what I could be getting with Fury when it comes out of the editing room, because this is such a huge step back for David Ayer. I really enjoyed End of Watch. Training Day obviously is a great movie, but this is like someone's first script, someone trying too hard to be clever. They're like, oh, I'm going to have misdirects, I'm going to lie to you, I'm going to have things happen at different times, but at first I'm not going to tell you that I'm time jumping. But at the end of the day, it's just poorly constructed. It's not clever, it's just bad. I mean, I think that maybe the film was like, okay, we're going to do to the audience what's happening to the characters in the movie with this kind of misdirected lies. But I think any filmmaker needs to understand that you can play with that a little bit, but you still have to make a well-constructed film. At the end of the day, it still has to be entertainment. And this wasn't entertaining at all. And I think one of the problems, because it took me about 15 or 20 minutes to really get into the movie, because the trailer so grossly misrepresented it. It is not at all what they have advertised. I don't want to give it away because that's the way it's intended, and some people might enjoy the surprise. I'd be surprised to know who, and as you can see, this film is doing quite poorly this weekend. Nobody wants to see it. I'm sure it has horrible word of mouth. I really disliked it. It was a horrible movie-going experience. The depravity of the film, both in terms of the film itself and the characters that were shown, was really surprising. I don't know who they thought audiences were going to root for, but there's nobody here. There's no one here. I guess to some degree it's an equal opportunity film. That was the one good thing about it, that all kinds of actors of race and gender and age all had the chance to be unlikable, all had the chance to be despicable. I think this movie just tried, as I said, to be very cool, and they try to show this type of behavior of this elite unit, and they try to explain it away, saying, "Oh, the things these guys see, they have to be undercover. That's why they're so rough around the edges and they're troubled." But I have a hard time believing that any of their higher ups would allow such a unit to exist. The kind of behavior that was being allowed to go on, and in some ways encouraged. They have like this clubhouse, and I just can't believe that no one but Arnold Schwarzenegger checks in on them. I'd be like, you guys, I know this is a rough job, but you just can't go down this rabbit hole and have me continue to call you law enforcement. It was just, they looked like a problem, they were a problem, and so it was hard to understand why so many people were surprised they were a problem. Also incompetent. Everybody in this film had moments of huge gross incompetence that they shouldn't be having as law enforcement professionals at all the different levels they were discussing. So I really disliked this film. I thought it had no enjoyment factor at it at all, and I think it was a step back for David Ayer and a step back for everybody involved. Just really, and it was gross, and there was a lot of bad things happening in it you had to look at, and it was, it was like almost like tried to be like Saw or Hostel even. I think Hostel is, because Saw, from what I've heard, has some redeeming qualities and a greater moral question that's involved, but none of that was here. This was just a gore fest that, it was like Mickey Rourke hit someone with his motorcycle, and you should watch it, like that kind of heavy metal aspects to it. And I'm really surprised it was greenlit. I'm surprised it was made with these people who were involved. I'm surprised it was advertised the way it was, considering the fact it's so off base, and it leads people into the theater on a false pretense. And I think I'm surprised that David Ayer is continuing to move forward with his career. It just really shows a lot of problems as a filmmaker, and someone who thinks he knows, the most dangerous kind of filmmaker, thinks he knows what he's doing, but clearly doesn't. So what did you think? Did you have anyone seen this film? As I said, it's not doing well, but if you've seen the film, did you have the same reaction that I've had? Did you enjoy anything about it at all? What did you think of the kind of DEA agents or undercover agents they tried to portray? Do you think this is true? We talked about this recently in Let's Be Cops. We have very different views, some of us, of law enforcement, but if this exists, I feel, it should have shown it was isolated. Instead, I thought they showed that this was something that was rampant through all law enforcement. So write your thoughts down below. Thank you for tuning in, and you can check out some more episodes right now.